If you've ever looked around at the world and thought, how did we get so bad at working together? You're not alone. It's strange, isn't it? Cooperation is the very thing that made us human. It is our oldest survival skill, our secret superpower. Yet somewhere along the line, we traded that in for hierarchy, control, and competition. Welcome to another bonus edition of the MTB Podcast, a segment of the weekly episode that I call Afterthoughts. This is my favorite part of these weekly presentations because it gives me a chance to dig a little deeper into something that came up during the main episode. In this bonus edition of Afterthoughts, we're going to talk about how power hijacked human progress, how systems built to organize us ended up dividing us, and how we can reclaim cooperation as both a moral value and a practical tool for survival. Because let's be honest, no one person, party, or ideology can fix the mess we're in. The only way forward, the only way, is together. So, if you're ready, let's dive into another bonus episode of Afterthoughts. Let's start at the beginning. Long before there were kings, popes, CEOs, or presidents, there were people, tribes, clans, small, messy, brilliant groups of humans who figured out how to share, how to communicate, and how to collaborate. Anthropologists tell us that cooperation was our evolutionary edge. We weren't the strongest species or the fastest, but we could plan hunts, share resources, care for each other's children, and warn each other about danger. That's how we survived ice ages. That's how we built the first tools. It's how we made language, music, and culture. Cooperation wasn't a moral choice back then. It was a necessity. But then, as our groups grew, something changed. We needed organization, leadership, decision-making, and so cooperation gave birth to power. Now, at first, that wasn't a bad thing. A leader could coordinate the group, settle disputes, help allocate resources. But over time, the power structures that were meant to serve cooperation began to serve themselves. Once humans discovered that power could be hoarded, cooperation became conditional. The powerful began to realize that they could maintain control not by working with others, but by dividing them. We see this pattern everywhere in recorded history. Kings used the divine right to claim that they were granted power from above. Then religions created hierarchies of holiness and obedience. Empires used fear and nationalism to unite people against outsiders. And modern corporations, let's be honest, they've perfected it, rewarding competition and calling it innovation. Now, the irony, every one of these systems still depends on cooperation to function, but only the kind of cooperation that serves those at the top. That's how power hijacks progress. It replaces shared purpose with self-preservation. It tells people they're cooperating for the common good, when in reality, they're just reinforcing the system that continues to exploit them. And once that cycle begins, integrity becomes optional, and empathy is seen as a weakness. Let's talk about those two foundational values, integrity and empathy, because they really are the glue that keeps cooperation real. Integrity is what keeps cooperation honest. It's the value that says, I'm not just going to go along with this because everyone else is. I'm going to do what's right, even if it costs me. Without integrity, cooperation turns into complicity. It becomes a tool for corruption, not a support for community. Empathy, on the other hand, is what gives cooperation heart. It's the ability to feel someone else's needs and perspectives, to recognize that their well-being is tied to yours. Without empathy, cooperation becomes strictly transactional. It's about, well, what's in it for me? Instead of, well, how do we thrive together? Now, think about our world today. We've turned cooperation into competition, even in the spaces that were meant to be communal. Workplaces talk about teamwork, but they reward individual performance. Governments talk about unity, but campaign on division. Churches preach love thy neighbor, but they create enemies out of anyone who doesn't fit the mold as they define it. We've forgotten that cooperation isn't about uniformity. It's about alignment. It's about working toward a shared goal while respecting differences. Integrity keeps that alignment honest. Empathy keeps that alignment human. Let's zoom out and see how this played out across history. In small communities, cooperation was mutual. Everyone contributed. Everyone benefited. But when societies scaled up, when agriculture created surplus, suddenly, well, someone had to decide who got what. And those someones started to like the view from the top. This is a fact that many people won't want to accept. Religion and empire grew hand in hand. The powerful learned that if you convinced people that the hierarchy was divinely ordained, those people would cooperate, even when it hurt them. The Tower of Babel myth, for instance, can be read as an early cautionary tale about human cooperation, but not because unity is bad. It's because unchecked ambition in a hierarchical system corrupts cooperation. The moral got twisted. Don't build too high or God will punish you. But maybe the real lesson was, don't let power turn your cooperation into exploitation. Fast forward to today. The tools have changed. Algorithms instead of armies. But the strategy is the same. Divide people. Control the narrative. And keep cooperation very shallow. The more divided we are, the easier we are to manipulate. That's how power hijacks progress, by teaching us to distrust one another. You can see it everywhere. Political polarization, economic inequality, climate denial, social media echo chambers, all systems of a society that has forgotten how to cooperate. When cooperation breaks down, empathy collapses and integrity follows soon after. We stop seeing people. We start seeing enemies. We stop sharing truth. We start sharing propaganda. We stop helping each other survive and start fighting over who's worthy of surviving. And the irony? The biggest problems we face, climate change, inequality, disinformation, they can only be solved through cooperation. So the very skill that built civilization has become the one we're least practiced at. Now, the good news is this: cooperation isn't gone. it's just buried under fear, cynicism, and just a veritable mountain of misinformation. We see flashes of true cooperation all the time. Mutual aid groups that form after disasters. Scientists collaborating across continents to fight pandemics. Activists linking arms to protect a forest or defend human rights. That's the human spirit at work. Empathy in motion, guided by integrity, powered by cooperation. But to make cooperation our norm again, we have to relearn a few things. First, cooperation isn't agreement, it's alignment. You don't have to see the world the same way to work toward the same goal. It's about building bridges that serve a shared purpose, not demanding identical beliefs. And second is, integrity must outrank loyalty. When cooperation demands that you lie, ignore harm, or silence truth, it's not cooperation anymore, it's complicity. The healthiest communities are the ones that don't just allow, but encourage honest disagreement and self-correction. The third thing we need to learn is that empathy has to be practiced, not just preached. You can't claim to value empathy if your cooperation excludes those who make you uncomfortable. Real empathy expands the circle, even when it's inconvenient. And the fourth thing that we need to learn or relearn is that power must be accountable to the cooperative spirit. Any system that survives by silencing others isn't leadership, it's domination. True leadership is service, guiding cooperation toward the common good. Now, reclaiming cooperation doesn't mean tearing down every system. It means redesigning them around the values that actually work. So imagine a government that measures success not by GDP or wealth, but by well-being. Or a workplace that rewards collaboration, not competition. Or a church or community where inclusion is the rule, not the exception. It sounds idealistic, but it's really just evolutionary logic. We're wired to cooperate. We just need to unlearn what power has taught us, that strength means domination. The truth is, domination is fragile. Cooperation is resilient. And in an uncertain world, resilience wins every time. If there's one takeaway from all this, it's that we are built for connection. We are at our best when we share, when we collaborate, when we make space for others to thrive. Power can corrupt systems, but it doesn't have to corrupt who we are at the core of our being. We can still choose empathy over ego. We can still choose integrity over our own personal comfort. We can choose cooperation over control. We can still decide that progress means everyone moves forward, not just those who already have power. The art of cooperation isn't lost forever. It's just waiting for us to remember that progress isn't a contest. It's a community. So here's our challenge for this episode. Find one situation, at work, at home, online, anywhere. Find one situation where cooperation feels hard. And then go ahead and practice cooperation anyway. Right? Find a situation where cooperation feels hard and then practice cooperation anyway. To help you do this, you can ask yourself a few questions. You can ask, all right, well, how can I listen with empathy before I respond? You can ask yourself, what truth needs to be spoken, even if it's uncomfortable? And you can also ask yourself, what small action could build trust instead of tension? And ask yourself those questions, and then just do that one thing. Practice cooperation, because reclaiming cooperation doesn't start with systems. It starts with us. And the more we practice empathy, integrity, and cooperation in small ways, the more likely we are to build a world that works, not just for some of us, but for all of us. Thank you for spending some time with me on this extra bonus edition of Mythologizing the Bible Afterthoughts. If this conversation inspired you at all, please consider sharing it, not to convince anyone, but to remind people that humanity's oldest wisdom still holds true. We rise together or not at all. Thanks for joining me for this episode of Afterthoughts. If you want to keep up on everything I'm doing, please head over to thecodaproject.com and subscribe to my newsletter. You'll get notifications whenever I publish anything, and I'll also keep you updated on the weekly live streams of Mythologizing the Bible. Also, if you subscribe for free over at The Coda Project, you'll start receiving my publication called The Weekly Compass. This is a brief guide on a single core value. Think of it as a mini lesson plan for personal growth. It's perfect for families, students, and adults because I include discussion questions designed for each age group. Each issue centers on a short reflection about a specific core value, followed by discussion questions that are tailored for different age groups, from kids to college students to adults, and then a simple take action step, like a small challenge or exercise you can do to put that value into practice. Especially for families, it's designed to be an easy way to ensure that at least once a week, you're making time to talk about morality, ethics, and core values. To learn more about everything going on with the Coda Project, please go subscribe for free at thecodaproject.com. Thanks again for listening. Until next time, remember to question everything, keep what's good, and live what matters.